Want to talk more about the election here as we approach the 9 o'clock hour on the East Coast and 6 o'clock hour on the West Coast. Let's bring in Kimi King, a distinguished teaching professor of political science at the University of North Texas and fellow of the Castleberry Peace Institute. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Oh, it's good to be here and meet you.
Well, okay, so first off, and great to meet you as well. First off, I do want to talk about the historic nature of this election. And it's probably very hard to kind of narrow it down. But what is it about the election that really made it so historic?
I think really part of the reason why this is historic is because we can go all the way back to 2016 and the initial election of now President-elect Trump again to the White House. I think in part because we began to see with that first election that public opinion polls and the role of the media sometimes play an outsized role in elections, and there was a greater awareness of it. And it was also historic in terms of the kind of presidency that he tried to bring about and the way in which he looked to reshape the presidency, regardless of the degree of success he may or may not have had in any wide range of programs. He brought this very different kind of view that, quite honestly, we had never seen before. And then, of course, historic, again, because of that first term for a number of reasons, the legal troubles that they were alluding to earlier, the nature of the way in which the election of 2020 came off, and then his decision to run again is also historic. You know, we got to go back to Grover Cleveland, which he's an interesting comparison. I encourage you history buffs out there to go look at Grover Cleveland, who ran and won, and then he won he won the popular vote in the 1888 election, but lost the Electoral College. So it's a little different. But then he came back in 1892, and won again. And so people are going to be making that comparison to him. And he too was a president that endured some scandal, but saw us through a lot of rough times and focused on the economy especially. And then, of course, just the 2024 run was historic. I mean, to say nothing of the whole kind of craziness involved with Biden pulling out and this kind of moment of reflection when the Democratic Party had to dig deep and go, oh my gosh, who have we put on the ballot? Where's everybody been? And so then that shift was historic. Of course, the candidate of Kamala Harris was historic. And I think that moving forward, especially now that because of this election, he has won the popular vote. It's looking like shifting tides for a mandate. And so I think that one of the things that people are going to be looking at is to see, well, what can you do now? Let's go back to that immigration bill. Let's go back to some of these initiatives where we can push forward that he had wanted to go for before.
And I'm asking you a lot of the broad questions here, but
Yeah.
how, and just based kind of on your expertise here, how has this election overall compared to what we saw in 2020?
Wow. So it's different for a lot of reasons. And I think that so one of the things that bothers me about political scientists and my people is that we have a tendency to be very idiosyncratic and to look at something very narrowly instead of thinking about broader patterns. And the folks who do quantitative stuff do. But I would encourage people to think about it in the broader view of how elections have been going since 2000. And really, I was talking to the class, I traced it back to 1992 with Bill Clinton being elected by a plurality and a third-party candidate. I think there you start to see the first signs of an American people that are looking to dig a little deeper. You've seen increased voter turnout, but you didn't see it on the level that we saw in 2020 universally across the country. Now, part of that was because laws by the legislatures were changed to address COVID. But you also didn't see the same kind of turnout in 2018. Which was historic. And I think another thing we realize about the 2024 election in terms of the election patterns are that people were looking at 2018 as they went into the 2024 election. You can't do that. You got to look at your last presidential year, and you have to look at your midterm election that happened right before. So in 2022, as much as everybody was talking about Beto had almost beat Cruz and blah, 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 Abbott came back and had double-digit lead over Beto in the gubernatorial election. And so you just have to be really careful when you start talking about the elections and how they come off, that there's so many complicated pieces between the polls, election integrity, because without a doubt, everyone has acknowledges that this election moved as it should. And then finally, this kind of transfer and transition that hopefully will be easier, that will be more focused on the American people and pay attention to the agenda of what everybody's got to do moving forward on both sides of the aisle. And so I think that's also an important thing to remember about this election.
I do want to ask to kind of get your take on this, but what lessons might the Democrats take away from this election overall?
You know, it really needs, I'm going to go back to 2008. The Obama administration ceded state and local territory to the Republicans. They just don't have and have not had the ground game. There has been this attitude that the Fed is going to save you and that that blue wall is going to save you. Where you are going to get saved is getting your state and local ground game on. Start paying attention to the organization inside your state and local parties. Work to engage the community there, not just right before an election, but mobilize year round. I think that's one of the things that people are going to be talking about with President-elect Trump now, is that he kind of went outside. He outsourced for some of the running of the election, and people are going to look for the running of his campaign, I should say. And people are going to look at that and say that that may have been strategically important. That kind of do it yourself, raise a boat ton of money doesn't necessarily come back to help you. And the issue of money, this is difficult because now that we have dark money in the mix, it's difficult to tell who spent more. But Kamala Harris, on the public side of the monies, outraised President-elect Trump by quite a bit. The Democrats need to look at themselves and figure out where that money went and look perhaps more closely at how the Trump campaign was getting some of this outside dark money to help support him in his campaign. But then the mobilization on the turnout the vote. I mean, that's my final point. The mobilization on the turnout of the vote is just incredibly important for what Trump did. It made a difference. And that's why you don't see as many differences. If you look at the electoral map between 2020 and 2024, you're going to go, huh? And what you're going to see is that we're still polarized and we're still divided as a country. And so I think there are many who are hoping that President-elect Trump will try to work to unify people more.
Looking a little bit deeper into what you were just talking about, and this kind of piggybacks off of that, what was it that prevented Kamala Harris from maybe picking up some of the states, and I'm just saying some of them, that Joe Biden did get over in 2020? And again, that's kind of what you were just talking about, but did want to get your take on that.
Biden needs to dig deep. He refused to commit to either only running for one term or seeking an election. He played this back and forth game. But then as he became president, he sort of talked about the importance of moving forward and the next generation. He had no succession plan at all. And the idea that people around him thought that he could pull off a very difficult electoral race is absolutely something the Democrats need to be scratching their head about. They need to think about what their succession plan is, what it looks like going forward. It is unprecedented to think that someone in 107 days will become familiar enough with the American people that it would bring them to a point where they could, overwhelmingly elect her, which is what Biden needed to be pushing for in this kind of historic election where you're putting forward a non-traditional candidate who, quite honestly, President Biden kept hidden for quite some time. This idea that he stuck her with the immigration issue when he followed largely former President Trump's policies on immigration and tariffs, by the way, is really striking. And so I would make the argument that she got set up to fail from the moment she walked through the door of the White House, because he did not give her the kind of responsibilities and things that you need to be giving to a vice president in order to show that you really are a team to get the job done. He introduced her too late, and I think his vanity got in the way and kept him from, backing out much earlier.
This is a very opinion-based question, but again, as a political expert, do want to get your take. Do you think if Biden had run this time around, he had not withdrawn from the race and pushed for Kamala Harris, do you think that he would have picked up more votes? Or I can see you shaking your head there, so I think I know the answer.
The drubbing would have been 10 times as worse. I mean, there's that in no world. In no world. And we would have had a completely different campaign. I mean, he might have just completely fallen apart like 10 days before. I think everyone continues to be deeply worried about his health and concerned about his well-being. And I think that, and I do want to present this as kind of it comes across as opinion-based. I think it's a function of what the media and scholars and everybody have been saying out there, and they raised this issue back when he announced that he was going to run in the first place. What happened to passing the torch to the next generation? So yeah, no, in no world. And you know what? The political science folks can sit and talk about, well, I think this and I think that. No, yeah, no, I think the drubbing would have been way worse. So be grateful.
And my last question here, what should both Republicans and Democrats be doing as we move forward out from the election closer to Trump's inauguration day? What should everyone be doing? What should they be focused on? What's your take on that?
I think the one thing, as we look back on the past, and I really got to say like 8 years, right? As we look back on the past 8 years, and if you look at the public opinion polls, you see it, and you see it in the exit polls. We're seeing, while it appears that it's still largely the economy, right? But you also have this immigration issue as well. I think foreign policy will be important. I think more than anything else, the American people are tired of the fighting. They're tired of drama. They don't want to just continue on with this kind of bashing of both sides. There's so much work to be done. We have so many difficulties that we are facing as a country and as as a global leader, and we need to think about it in that context. And so I think that the most important issue is that we've spent the last 8 years talking about what we disagree about, what we hate about each other, what we don't like, what we want to change. I would like us to spend the next 4 years talking about what we can agree on. And it may only be like this big, like it may only be a couple issues, but we were close on the immigration issue. And you saw President Trump talk about reproductive access in ways that spoke to suburban women as well as women who don't have access to resources. And so I'm hoping that both sides will get back past their partisan nonsense. Sorry, it's been a lot of interviews, partisan nonsense, and move forward.
All right, Kimi King, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and help break it all down. Some great insight there. Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, just great. And always remember to think of us up here at the University of North Texas, proudly internationally ranked for political science. Thanks for letting me get my commercial in.
Yeah, do they pay you to say that? No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No, you folks take care out there.